Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined today, coming to us all the way from the Observatory, writer, director, producer, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. Robert, how you doing today, sir?
I'm almost detoxed from San Diego.
From San Diego Comic-Con? Almost there. Also joining us, of course, is our technical producer, all the way in Burbank, Mr. Jonathan Voico. Jonathan?
Hello, everybody. Welcome.
And most importantly, of course, you guys are here joining us today. Thank you so much for being here and making our little show part of your day. And here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a number of predetermined topics we have lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show is when we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or an issue you'd like me to address, as long as I deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our super chat feature. That does mean you have to be watching live to do it, but if you are watching live and have a question or topic, go ahead and fire it on in there, and we'll get to it in the second part of the show. Starting off with some of the questions we didn't have time to get to on yesterday's show. We'll clear those out and then get to today's questions. All right, guys. With that all down and out of the way, let's get things kicked off here, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. Well, a lot has been going on in the world of the Paramount Warner Brothers merger, as you guys well know. It has been the number one biggest topic and issue in the world of the movie industry for, getting close to a year? I don't know. It's been a while that it's been going on. Now, recently, some major events took place. So I'm going to walk through the timeline here with you as to some of the significant incidents. So you guys know that a major lawsuit, there are like several major lawsuits going on, but probably the most important one, where 12 states, being led by California and New York, sued to stop the Paramount Warner Brothers merger. And as a part of that lawsuit, they filed for a preliminary injunction, a temporary restraining order known as a TRO, to force Paramount to not complete the merger with Warner Brothers until the trial is done. Now, the judge then granted that temporary restraining order on a short-term basis. The judge basically said, we're granting the restraining order for 2 weeks. Then in 2 weeks, the judge said, that gives you a couple of weeks to then come back and respond to the order. We'll have a hearing on it, and then I'll make a final ruling about whether or not to make the injunction or restraining order permanent until the end of the trial. Well, what happened was kind of interesting. Paramount decided they had no chance to win that hearing. So they just simply agreed to the TRO. They just simply agreed to the restraining order and said, yep, we'll just see this thing through. And the reason I think that happened is because when the judge granted the temporary 2-week restraining order, you remember we talked about this. I read the judge's entire decision. And what the judge pointed out was the reason I'm granting it is because it looks like the state is going to be able to prove that this deal violates Chapter 7 or Section 7 of the Clayton Act. It looks like there is a good chance the states will succeed. Therefore, we're granting the temporary restraining order. Upon seeing that, it became kind of apparent, I believe, to Paramount that they had no chance of winning that hearing in 2 weeks. If the judge had already determined after looking at the facts that this thing is probably going to be found violating Section 7 of the Clayton Act, it's going to be found violating the law, well, there's no point in trying to fight it. So they turned it off. And now they're going to have to wait basically a year until the trial is really done and finished. And here's the thing, by accepting that, you guys know, we've talked about this on the show, guys, that as soon as they don't close the deal by the end of September, Paramount's got a ticking clock that they're going to have to pay between $6 and $7 million a day in penalties to Warner Brothers shareholders. They gave the Warner Brothers shareholders, we guarantee we'll have this thing locked up by the beginning of October, end of September. As a matter of fact, we're guaranteeing it so hard that if we don't close by then, We'll pay you $650 million per quarter. That roughly works out to about $6 to $7 million a day that we don't close it. And now this thing's going to be like a year late. We're talking anywhere from $1.1 to $1.5 billion in penalties they're going to have to pay.
Man,
to
that's like 3 or 4 Qatari jets.
I mean, that's a big thing for those states that are donating to the cause.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, because of that, and because Paramount was so clear for so long that they fully intended to close this deal quickly, they're coming out right now and saying, oh, no, we're just really confident we're going to win the trial down the line. No, they're not. No, they're not. They can say that all they want. If they believed that, they would have fought in the hearing in 2 weeks. If they believed that, they wouldn't have put guarantees in place for Warner Brothers that we're going to pay you $6 to $7 million in penalties per day if we're late. I have been on this show and I've said, guys, for months that yes, there are hurdles. Yes, there are complications. And yes, I think they're going to have to make some compromises. But at the end of the day, I think this Paramount deal goes through. I think I was wrong. I now stand here today. I don't think this Paramount deal is going to go through. And I think Paramount knows it. And I think what Paramount is doing right now, and again, this is just my opinion. This is just what I'm surmising, okay? But what I think Paramount is doing right now is just buying themselves time. I think they're buying themselves time, and that somewhere 3 months, 6 months down the road from now, they're going to come out and say, you know what? We're going to pivot and buy Lionsgate. We just think we have discovered that the Lionsgate deal is a better fit for us. Or they'll come out and say, you know what? After having more time to consider it, man, buying NBC Universal from Comcast is a much better arrangement for us. What were we thinking? We're happy to walk away from the Warner Brothers deal, at which point they'll have to write a $7 billion breakup check to give to Warner Brothers. And they're going to have to move on. I think at this point, it's just a saving face situation. And again, I could be totally wrong. There's no official word saying any of this. This is just me looking at the data we have in front of us. But I think regardless of anything Paramount is saying right now to save face, they don't agree to this basically 1 year delay unless they know they're beat. And I don't think they wanted to go through the year and pay another $300, $400, $500 million in legal fees and all that kind of stuff. So again, I could be right and I could be wrong. Now, of note, we've also got this where now there are some Warner Brothers executives saying, yeah, they actually hope this whole thing falls apart. That there are a bunch of executives at Warner Brothers saying, yeah, we would love this thing to fall apart. And you know what? It doesn't say so in the article, but I will bet dollars to dimes that one of those executives is David Zaslav. I'd bet money one of those executives is David Zaslav.
I mean, he released that memo to his employees, which was very strange at the cusp of this deal, where he said, and anyway, it probably won't work and we'll get $7 billion. That's a strange thing for a CEO who just inked a deal to say to his employees.
Now, just for context, just you know what Jonathan's talking about? One of the employees brought up the question, what happens if the deal doesn't go through? And to that, Zaslav responded, then we go on business as usual and collect a $7 billion check.
Yeah.
And
then
they
I
just
meet with Sarandos.
And remember, we talked a while ago about that report that came out that said Zaslav didn't even really want this deal, but it's just that he could have been sued for not acting in the shareholders' best interest if he didn't pursue it and go through with it. And so there was a lot of words that really Zaslav didn't really want this thing, even though he's personally going to make a lot of money from it. So anyway, I stand here before you guys having changed my mind. I've been saying forever that this deal with compromises will ultimately go through. I don't think that's true anymore. I got a feeling this thing is going to be dead in the water. Anyway, Rob, you've seen all the latest developments. Now we're finding out that there are even Warner Brothers executives saying, yeah, please let this thing just die. We don't want to go through with this. But anyway, What's your takeaway from this? Do you think Paramount actually means it when they say, no, we're looking forward to seeing this thing through and we're going to complete this merger? Do you think, like I do, that they've quietly resigned from it? Do you see this happening? Not at this point. What do you think?
Well, I guess, John, through all of this and all the discussions that we've had, I've still been waiting for a good reason why Paramount even wants to do this in the first place. Like,
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot.
Yeah, and I, with this going on, with all of these headwinds blowing into this deal, I would think that at some point you just go, okay, we gave it the old college try. But in terms of putting themselves in their debt position, how does this at all strengthen a company? I mean, I don't see, they're an entertainment company. They're supposed to make television and movies, and I guess they wanted to control the narrative through news organizations or whatever they're trying to do. But even that, their control of CBS hasn't exactly gone well. And it's like, at the end of the day, what is it you're trying to accomplish? I mean, as a shareholder, I'm not, but if I was, I would be asking, okay, where's my investment going? What am I trying to get out of this? I'm investing in your company, and all you seem to be doing is going into debt and forgetting what your core business is. And now you're fighting against an entire industry. There were more actors that took up arms against this deal over the weekend. And
including Doctor Strange. Benedict Cumberbatch himself came out and did that, yeah.
And I would say, I mean, look, I am not, if I was a financial guy, I would be much richer than I am and not on YouTube and making movies rather than talking about them. But unfortunately, I am not. I've been an indie I've been an indie guy my whole life. And I look at this and I understand it's way above my pay grade to be opining on these kinds of financial deals. But I just don't see, I don't see what anybody's getting out of it. I don't see how you're going to get out of the enormous debt that look at your upcoming slate. I mean, Paramount's got a few more interesting things up their sleeves that I've been seeing a few trailers for things. I'm like, okay, now we've got Paramount Primal, and we'll see what's going to happen.
To your point about the debt, I just want to remind everybody, okay, about this number. Just got to remind you about this number. If Paramount, everything goes perfectly for Paramount, and they close this deal, they will be the proud owners of a $110 billion debt. Okay? Now, here's the other number. Because Paramount has been downgraded to a junk bond status, they do not enjoy the friends and family interest rates.
No.
The lower your credit rating goes, the more interest. So let's be generous. Let's be generous. Let's say they've got to pay a 5% rate on that $110 billion debt. That equals, grab your balls, everybody, $15 million per day.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. $15 million per day in interest that accumulates every day. It's about $5.5 billion per year in interest. $15 million a day in interest. And that's if everything goes perfect for Paramount.
Yeah. And that's only the deal. That doesn't include current debt, and that doesn't include current debt of Warner Brothers.
I think that's what their total combined debt would be.
Accumulated?
Yes. That's if the merger happens, they'll be in possession of $110 billion debt from Paramount's debt, Warner Brothers debt, and the big, huge debt they incur for making the purchase in the first place. And by the way, on top of all that, Big Papa Ellison, Daddy Ellison, who owns, one of the owners, the major guy behind Oracle's lost $600 billion in market cap value over the past few months.
It's incredible.
Like that number's astounding. So all of that is to say, I think Paramount has changed their minds. I could be wrong. Maybe they mean everything they're saying publicly. I think it's just a saving face thing until a little while down the road, they just announce that they found a better option and they get out of the deal. But yeah, it's pretty Man, it's pretty grim for them right now. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about all this? A number of Warner Brothers execs are now saying, yeah, we hope this thing dies as a result of Paramount getting this whole thing delayed at least a year. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, we talked yesterday about that fabulous Avengers Doomsday trailer that they showed at Comic-Con on Saturday night and for a while leaked online. Rob, I don't know, did you have a chance to see that version that leaked online?
I didn't, but I read about it.
I saw something. I think it was another where it's like AI and it's made to look like they're looking at a screen, but it was the official narration.
Okay, and
So
then
that's what
they
I saw.
just took it to make it look better.
Yeah.
That's interesting. The trailer's great. And you know, we talked yesterday, me and Harloff talked yesterday about whether this was the trailer they should have led off with. Anyway, you guys may have heard some rumblings going around that when you go to see Spider-Man Brand New Day this weekend, you might be seeing it. Reports like this: new Avengers Doomsday trailer, date revealed. Here's when fans can watch it. And the reports are saying that they're going to show the brand new Avengers Doomsday trailer in front of Spider-Man Brand New Day. Which is weird because they literally just released the first one.
This is very front loaded.
But this is a great trailer and there was joy amongst the people.
Yeah.
However, when you look more closely, the official data says that there's going to be an Avengers Doomsday trailer playing with Spider-Man. It does not say the new one from Comic-Con. And as a matter of fact, a number of industry people are jumping online now and clarifying the Avengers Doomsday trailer playing with Spider-Man Brand New Day is the same trailer that was released online last week. It is not the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive trailer as some have been claiming. Now, I have not heard word directly from Sony or Marvel about which trailer it is, but it does seem from everything that we're hearing that those reports you guys have seen floating around that the new Comic-Con trailer is going to be playing in front of Spider-Man, it looks like that is not true. Now, there are two different ways of looking at this, I think. On the one hand, as Jonathan already put out there, is that we literally just got the first one online. Literally, like, we're talking just a week or two ago, they dropped the first one online. We literally just got it. I don't know of another movie that drops its first trailer and then drops a second trailer in the single digit days later to put it out. So there's that. However, on the other hand, that trailer that they released has actually been known about for months because they showed it to us at Las Vegas CinemaCon back in April. And the full description of it has been out there for months. And while releasing a second trailer so close to the first trailer would be unusual, Avengers Doomsday is an unusual movie event. And another argument to do it is that this trailer is just far better than the first one. Like, I like Rob, you and I have talked about this. I like that first trailer more than you do. Like, I really enjoy that first trailer a lot, but I think this trailer far surpasses it. And it would make sense, but it does seem like what the word about is that it's going to be the original trailer. Rob, you hear about this. What do you believe at this point? Do you believe it's the new one we're getting? Do you think it's going to be the original one? Would it make sense to even release a second one right now? What do you think?
Well, having made a trailer that was theatrically released, a trailer has to go through a process of approvals by the MPAA. When you see the ratings board and the rating, there's a number, you have to get, it's a process and it doesn't happen overnight. So I would say that it's not surprising to me that what they showed at Comic-Con, I didn't actually see it, but if it didn't have a rating in front of it, It hasn't gone to the MPAA yet. And Disney and Warner Brothers and every other studio, they have to send their trailers to the MPAA to get approved. So if you didn't see that MPAA logo on the front of those clips, it's not approved, and that's not the trailer they're going with. And that approval process takes a while. And by the way, they have to do all different versions because the internet has a different MPAA graphic than the theatrical version does. And so you have to make all of those different graphics. So I would say, and it has to have that approval. So I would say there's no chance that this is a new trailer. It's someone's wishful thinking that doesn't understand that making trailers does have an approval process with the MPAA. So
Can I say where this makes sense to release?
Yeah.
The Endgame re-release in September.
And that's close. Let me
September
play
25th.
devil's advocate just for a second, though. It is conceivable that the trailer they showed at Comic-Con, they've had ready and prepared for 2 months.
that's true.
And that they submitted it to the MPA months ago, and it maybe has already gone through the process. I'm
But
not
if
saying
they-
that's what
if
has
that's-
happened.
If that's the case, then they would have had, I don't know, because I didn't
They
see
wouldn't
it.
have had
There-
to put it in front of the one at Comic-Con because you don't need MPA approval to put it. You have to have it in order to put it into a Cinema United theater in front of a movie, but you don't have to have approval to show it at a private event like Comic-Con.
That's
right?
true, but they would have done that if it was ready to go for the theaters. I think that they would have shown you a finished version only because it's so close. Because those trailers would have already, remember, they would have already been shipped. They're at the theaters they're playing in front of right now.
Right. And they might have the MPA
Yeah, that's true.
screen in front of it. Again, I think you're right. I don't think that's what they're doing. I don't think that's what I'm just saying. Maybe it's possible. But Jonathan, you just pointed out Avengers Endgame Encore. I got another one. D23.
Yeah.
I mean, D23 is coming. They could show it to the audience there and then release it online if they wanted to. Again, I think D23, they're going to focus on the Disney Plus show since at Comic-Con they focused on the movies. But that's a possibility too. And by the way, like these insiders were these industry people were talking about, they might be wrong. Like maybe it is the new one. I hope it's the new one. I would love to see it on the big screen. But it looks like, guys, the trailer we're going to get for Avengers Doomsday in front of Spider-Man Brand New Day is going to be the one that we've already had. But I don't know. Do you think it might be the new one? Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? We're going to talk a little Spider-Man. And just in case, I don't think any of this is ground shaking, but, if you don't want to know anything about Spider-Man Brand New Day, even something we've all assumed forever, you might want to mute your computer and come back when our topic graphic here changes, because we are going to be getting a little bit into some potentially spoiler things. Again, I don't know if you can call it a spoiler if it's something we've always assumed, but there you have it, okay? Warning given, warning given. So Spider-Man Brand New Day did their world premiere event, and Marvel always puts on a big show when they do their Marvel premiere. And on the red carpet, they do interviews, as they always do. And one of the people that they interviewed was a musical artist by the name of Steve Lacy, who does one of the songs. Steve. What name, Steve? Steve Lacy, who does one of the songs on the soundtrack for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Now, on that red carpet, the interviewer asked him, who are you really looking forward to seeing in the movie? There he is, talking to the interviewer. Who are you really looking forward to? And he pulled a bit of a Tom Holland.
Yeah, and Tom Holland's been so good.
Tom Holland's been good. And he said, now just get ready, guys. This is the little bit of a spoilery part. So here you go.
Yeah.
He said, I'm really looking forward to seeing Jean. She's the villain, but there's a reason for her madness.
And then does he tell us how it ends?
Well, and then the interviewer, she looks at him, she goes, "Is that a spoiler?" And he just ignores that question. He goes, she's just really who I'm looking forward to seeing in the movie, and then kind of shuffled off. Actually, I'll see if I'll play this without the, see if I can play this without the, oh, I can't get it to play. That's fine.
Fun
Whatever.
fact, he hasn't been seen since.
He has not been seen since. So now look, all of us, I've been saying on the show for months, come on guys, we all know she's playing Jean Grey. We all know Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey. There's no reason to like pretend that's not the case or anything like that. We all know it. So there's that. So no surprise to find out that she's playing Jean. And honestly, that's no more spoiler than finding out John Bernthal is playing Punisher. I don't know why. I honestly don't know why Marvel from the beginning has sat, like, it doesn't, who cares? We know who is playing. Like, we know Robert Downey Jr. is playing Dr. Doom. We know, whatever. It's not important. Like, so I don't even know why they bothered keeping it a secret, even though it was no secret. But here's the part that did surprise me. I'll tell you this. The part that surprised me was not finding out that Sadie Sink was playing Jean Grey, who everybody guessed from the moment they announced her casting, but him saying that she's the villain. That's the part that kind of got me. Is that she's the villain. Again, you'll find that out very quickly in the movie, I have no doubt. So I don't really even consider that a spoiler either. But that part surprises me a little. Like I'm not surprised in the least to hear him say she's playing Jean Grey. No surprise at all. A little surprised to hear that she's the villain. But I think the big caveat to that is when he says, but there's a reason for it, right? And, we were talking before the show started, guys, about how I think this is probably going to be one of those situations where you have the bad guy in the movie. And we've seen several movies that have done this. But then by the time you get around to the third act or the end of the film, you realize, oh, wait a minute. The bad guy is actually totally fighting for the right thing. And I think that might be the way they're setting this up. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to go see the movie to figure it out for sure. But anyway, Rob, we've been talking about the Sadie Sink casting for months. Are you at all surprised by what Steve has just dropped on us in his infinite glory and wisdom? Are you not surprised? What do you think?
Well, no. For me, I'm more intrigued by what it means. There's been a few things. Look, I love the MCU. I've loved Marvel Comics my whole life. And I have found that the MCU embraced a comic book-like continuity, not meaning it was going to have its own continuity because it's not exactly like the comics. But for the MCU to have embraced continuity, the fact that Sadie Sink is Jean Grey asks or poses a lot of questions about how the MCU is going to move forward. And with Kevin Feige coming out and saying it's not a reboot, it's more of a reset. So it happened. The MCU happened, Battle World will happen, Secret Wars will happen, and then we move on. There was still whatever multiversal shenanigans are collapsed into one world after Battle World or whatever happens in Secret Wars. Moving forward, it's very interesting because the question then gets asked, where did Jean Grey come from? Is she from the 616? And if that's the case, then based on the X-Men, I mean, she's in her early 20s. How many more X-Men are on the 616 right now? And are they going to be revealed in Secret Wars? How's that going to work? So I love, and why is she fighting against damage control? I guess we're going to find that out in the movie. So finding this out, it's one more question that's answered so I can go into the movie more relaxed. And enjoy myself. But I mean, I as a lifelong X-Men fan that, was jumping up and down, I had to be at the Sideshow booth on Sunday at Comic-Con when those Hot Toys figures of all the X-Men from Doomsday were revealed. I'm that much of an X-Men fan. I've got my 1973 Days of Future Past Wolverine here. Never too far from my hands. And do we get to see Jean Grey? I mean, I don't think she'd be an X-Men yet, so we wouldn't see her in her full Jean Grey outfit, or do we? I'm excited. Either way, I'm excited and intrigued. I'm intrigued by it all. I've got many questions and I want to know the answers. And what does this bode going into the future? Does that mean she's going to be in Secret Wars?
I think they've already said she's going to be in Secret Wars. I think that's official. Like, I think that's
Has
official
it?
thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But they couldn't have said that Jean Grey is because it's a secret.
Right. But they have said that that Sadie Sink was going to be.
Oh, okay.
That's
Yeah.
why we assumed she wasn't just like some college character, like, college.
Well, I'm stoked. You know me, I love redheads. Bring it on. I've always loved Jean Grey.
It's
Nice way to
funny
wrap it
too,
up.
because at some point, I mean, I think when we meet her, she is not in, my guess is, and this is just a guess, my guess is she is not in the X-Men yet. I don't know that the X-Men exist yet
Right,
in this
exactly.
universe. Whether there's a Charles Xavier out there somewhere just starting to put his school together or whatever, I don't know. We'll find out. Or whether that happens as a result of the events of Secret Wars, who knows? We'll have to find out. But yeah, again, so the worst kept secret in the movie universe has just been spoiled. Again, I don't know if you can call it spoiled if everybody already knew it. But yeah, it does look like Sadie Sink is playing Jean Grey, which is what you and I always thought anyway. But again, what do you guys think about that? And why would Marvel have ever even tried to keep this under wraps in the first place? What was the point of that? But anyway, what do you guys think about this? Jump down into the comments section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Well, yesterday we had our good friend Christian Harloff here on the show. And Christian Harloff stopped the presses out of nowhere. He just dropped this thing that made Jonathan and I go, wait, what?
Yeah.
When he casually just dropped that HBO was going to be taking the upcoming Lantern series and just drop it all at once instead of HBO's traditional way of doing things, which is week by week. And I had to stop Christian. I'm like, wait. I have not heard this. And he said, yeah, I've been reading this stuff about it. And it was like, well, that makes no sense. HBO has never done that. This makes no sense. And then by the end of the show, he said, it was announced at the panel at Comic-Con, at the Lanterns panel at Comic-Con. And you know what? He's not wrong. I went back and I watched the video footage, and sure enough, at the very end of the panel of Comic-Con, of Lanterns, the moderator, there's the moderator there. The moderator said, as they were wrapping everything up and saying goodbye to everybody, and I think the date is August 16th. I think that's the date. Anyway,
Yeah.
he said, remember, ladies and gentlemen, all episodes of Lanterns debuting on August 16th on HBO Max. Good night, everybody. Right? That's what he said. That's what he said. So as a result of him saying that, Screen Rant, which is a site I don't like to reference very often, but Screen Rant ran this story, understandably, and in their report they said HBO Max is going to be dropping all the episodes of Lanterns at once on August 16th. And it was not unreasonable for them to do that because technically speaking, that is what the moderator at the panel said. However, we can now report that they are not doing that. Lanterns will be reported or will be released on a week-to-week basis. Screen Rant ran a retraction. And by the way, full credit to Screen Rant for putting in a correction on their article. Not everybody does this. I'm glad to see they did. They wrote, editor's note on the article in question. This article incorrectly stated that all 8 episodes of Lanterns would drop at August 16th. This has since been corrected. So clearly what happened here is probably somebody at Warner Brothers got in touch with Screen Rant and said, you're telling the world that we're dropping everything at once. We're not. And so they printed a retraction for it. I think what obviously happened, guys, at least to me, it's obvious. The moderator just misspoke. That's all it was. It was at the very, very end as they're saying goodnight to everybody. And I think he just misspoke. Again, no fault on Screen Rant for running with it as a story because that is what the moderator said, but clearly he misspoke. So, Rob, this brings up the question that we got into a little bit yesterday about should HBO Max drop Lanterns all at once? And you know my philosophy on this. My philosophy is very clearly no. It is not a matter of opinion. It is statistically and data been verified that good shows will perform much better over time if they were released weekly in weekly installments rather than dropping them all at once. They simply don't perform as well. There are some shows that have done that and done very, very well, but the data on the ones that go week to week have shown they just perform better. And as a fan, I really like week to week releases because it means we get to talk about them every week and everybody's at the same spot. Because here's the thing, they drop Punisher season 2 all at once on Netflix, and you can never talk about it because you never know, are my friends 3 episodes in? Are they 5 episodes in? We can't talk, and nobody's talking about Deadpool season 2 anymore a week after it releases. Whereas something like WandaVision showed that, oh my God, for 2 months straight on this show, all anybody talked about every single day was WandaVision because new episodes dropped every week. Now, Rob, HBO has never done that. They have never, at least to the best of my knowledge, they've never dropped all episodes at once, as far as I know. And by the way, I just want to point out, somebody in the live chat is saying, wrong again, Christian. Christian wasn't wrong. He just said what was in that report. That is what was reported.
On stage.
Yeah, it was literally said on stage at Comic-Con, and Screen Rant did run a story that said that. So Christian wasn't wrong. Christian was accurate in saying what he saw reported. It's just that that's now been corrected. So anyway, Rob, would this be something worth trying if you're HBO to drop all the episodes at once? Do you think they're making the right decision by going week to week? What do you think?
I think that it would be foolish if they dropped all the episodes at once. First of all, you can just tell from the trailers, and I was very, very excited. I mean, the Lantern series is doing a very deep dive into DC lore. The idea that they've added the Manhunters that were originally created by Jack Kirby, they were the first iteration.
Okay, I want to know, when you were watching that trailer and they said, what does the word Manhunters mean to you? Did you freak out? Like, I'm like, wait, what?
I freaked out because in DC history, there's the Walt Simonson Manhunter character who's like a ninja, but the Manhunters were created by the Guardians of Oa as their first police force before the living. There was even the Manhunters even replaced one of the gods on Mount Olympus at one point in the DC universe. So when I heard that, I'm like, wow, this is and then Sinestro or whatever. I mean, I love this. I love that the Manhunters are involved. I mean, people talked about it never, though, this whole, I've loved what I've seen of this show from the very beginning. And it's really weird that everybody was like hating on this show early, because I'm like, there's no way they can't have some cosmic connection. When I was reading Green Lantern comics as a kid, because I always loved Green Lantern, both the Green Lanterns, Alan Scott and the Justice Society, and Hal Jordan before they added, then there was, of course, John Stewart and Kyle Rayner and Guy Gardner. But I was a huge fan of the earthbound antics of Green Lantern and then the cosmic nature of the Guardians of Oa. So the idea that there is some extraterrestrial evil foothold on the United States or on Earth, I think is a great idea to introduce our cosmic characters. Because it looks grounded, it looks HBO-like, it looks they're going after that True Detective vibe. But then to find out that the connection is Manhunters and Sinestro and all that, bring that on, son. But because of that as well, there's a mystery element. There's these things. That's the perfect HBO premise. Like, we're gonna give this out to you, and we're gonna let you enter this world like in True Detective. That's what they've always said since the very beginning. And we're gonna meet these two guys, and the idea that one's being trained to become a Green Lantern, like, you don't want to give it all up right away. Yeah. It's an HBO show. It's for adults. You know, it's not for us just fanboys. And I've always thought the look of the show was great. And this last trailer, John, was a banger. I'm like, this is
so good.
If somebody asked me to make a Green Lantern show, it would be pretty close, even though, to be fair, it's Damon Lindelof. So take that with a grain of salt. But it looks like the kind of Green Lantern show that I would make. And I'm like, when does everybody retroactively suddenly go, oh, I want that cosmic Green Lantern feel? I'm like, I've been reading Green Lantern comics for over 50 years. And yeah, I like all of it. So to me, it looks like exactly the kind of Green Lantern show, but there's no way HBO has never dropped a series like this. And this is a prestige series. They're not going to drop it all at once. That's not what HBO has ever done, ever. And we're smart enough to know that. Christian took it at face value. What can you do? They said it. You figure the moderator knows of what they speak.
Well, especially when then you read the report on Screen Rant, you read the report on Screen saying they announced at Hall H or at Comic-Con that it was going to be all dropping at once. Yeah. And I get it. I get it. If you just had nothing but that last little sound clip as they were saying goodbye, that is what he said. But yeah, obviously it was just somebody misspoke. By the way, I already talked about it yesterday, but just to talk about it again. Holy shit, that Lanterns trailer was so good.
I love
that. That was so good. I love that trailer so much. I cannot wait to watch it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. We now know that the Lantern series is indeed only going to be dropping weekly. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they'll drop 2 episodes to start and then go after. I don't know. But basically speaking, they're not dropping the entire series at once. That's now been confirmed. What do you guys think about that? Whatever you think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. Well, tomorrow is game day.
Game day.
As guys like me and Rob are going to go, and I'm sure of many of you too, who got tickets to the advanced fan screening from Amazon for Spider-Man Brand New Day. Comes out tomorrow and then officially comes out in theaters for everybody else on Thursday. Gonna go see it tomorrow. I'm very, very stoked about it, very excited about it, and been very interested to see what the reviews would be because they've held the reactions and the reviews pretty tight. Last night, the first reactions came out and they were glowing. They were really, really good. But I also knew that in just a few hours this morning, they were going to be lifting the full review embargo and we'd be getting the full reviews. And the reviews are, in the words of Robert Pattinson, they're pretty good. The reviews
I've seen that clip.
Isn't that clip great? He's talking to Jennifer Lawrence about Christopher Nolan. He's pretty good. They're pretty damn good. As of right now, with 117 reviews in, Spider-Man Brand New Day is holding an 89% critic rating. Now remember, this is not first reactions. This is the full reviews. Right. They're holding a 89% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Now, let's put that into context. Understand, I made this graphic a little bit earlier this morning when it was 88. It has since gone up to 89. But let's put this in context here. That makes it, down at the bottom says 88. It should be 89 now. Technically speaking, that makes it the lowest critically rated. The pessimist will say, this is the lowest critically rated of the Spider-Man films. The optimist will say, at 89%, it's only 4% away from being the highest critically rated Spider-Man films. Basically saying, I don't know that we've ever seen a franchise that's had this kind of consistency. Look at this. All 4 of the Tom Holland Spider-Man films are all within 4%.
Yeah.
They're within 4% of each other. From the top one at 93 to the bottom one at 89, all separated by just 4 points. And again, by the end of today, Spider-Man Brand New Day may be the highest critically rated one. Who knows? Or maybe it'll drop down to 85. Who knows? Either way, Look at that. Spider-Man Homecoming, 92%. Spider-Man Far From Home, 91. Spider-Man No Way Home, 93. And now, of course, Spider-Man Brand New Day sitting at 89% as of this recording. So that's a type of quality consistency that you just love to see. I mean, it's just great that they're going all the way around. Let's go over and take a look then at some of the reviews that some of these critics have gone and see. We're going to start off with a friend of ours, Germain Lucier, who's been critical about some Marvel stuff, but he came out and said he liked it. He said there are some teeny tiny blips along the way, but ultimately they don't take away from the whole. This is an awesome movie with huge heart. Eddie Harrison didn't like it from Film Authority. He said the MCU malaise seems to have spread to the Spider-Verse on the evidence of Spider-Man Brand New Day, and the various narrative dead ends gum up the works for this rather dank and tiresome comic book epic. So Eddie didn't like it. David Crow from Den of Geek, he liked it. He said Brand New Day is as much a homecoming for Spidey as the previous flick bearing that name. As Holland is liberated to play the joy as well as the agony and sorrow. It's the triptych that makes Peter's crucible of growing up so relatable. Piggity Witch liked it, said this is both the best of Holland's Spider-Man films and the best thing to come out with Marvel's name attached to it for some time. The Coast Review liked it. They said Spider-Man Brand New Day gives us a more mature, grounded, focused, emotionally driven, and broken-hearted version of Peter than we've ever seen. Looper liked it. They said it's on par with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. That's high praise, because I love that movie. In the top tier of post-Avengers Endgame Marvel movies. And it's my favorite live-action Spider-Man movie since Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2, all the way back to 2004. Blu-ray.com liked it. They said Cretton nails the most important parts of the offering, and he manages to get everything upright again as Spider-Man figures out the next phase of his heroism and his own spidery self. Silver Screen Riot liked it. They said, although the bar has been impractically low since Avengers Endgame, the Spider-Man brand remains the MCU's sturdiest tentpole, and Spider-Man Brand New Day is the best thing the studio has delivered since, well, the last Spider-Man sequel. Fade In liked it. They said Spider-Man Brand New Day proves that sometimes the hardest battles are not fought against villains, they are fought within ourselves. Sometimes the greatest act of heroism is simply finding the strength to begin again. Things Go Pop liked it. They said the film builds an intimate, vibrant world around Peter Parker while simultaneously trusting him for the first time in the Holland era to mostly stand on his own, which is what I've been waiting for them to do for a while. Awards Buzz liked it. They said this may not be the best or most memorable of the recent Spider-Man movies, but it works well enough and, despite a handful of familiar MCU faces, stands sufficiently on its own. AV Club liked it. They wrote, it's not especially close to the majesty of Spider-Man 2 and lacks the delirious highs of Spider-Man 3. It's also pretty handily the best MCU Spider-Man movie since Homecoming. And it goes on and on. But like I said, right now it's sitting at an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, and we'll see where that goes. And then it's going to be interesting to see what the audience scores are going to be once we get into Friday and Saturday. But it basically sounds like they delivered again. This is the Spider-Man experience. And again, when we go back and take a look at these numbers, again, it's just that word again. It's that consistency of quality that these movies seem to give, despite the fact that, remember, this is the first Spider-Man movie that does not, this first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie that does not have John Watts directing it. It's Shang-Chi and Wonder Man creator Destin Daniel Cretton who's been directing this. And it looks like a winner. And I cannot wait to go see this. Anyway, Rob, I know you've been excited about seeing this movie. We've now got not just the initial reactions, which were pretty glowing. We now have the full reviews. Again, as of this moment, it's within 4 points of being the highest rated of all the Spider-Man films. But it's pretty packed in there. What is standing out to you from the reviews that we've been reading about? Is there any points or things that are standing out to you that you find exciting, that you find concerning? Where's your expectations level right now for Spider-Man Brand New Day?
Well, obviously, the thing that I wanted to see most of all about this movie is to bring back Peter Parker and make him a grounded human being. and that's really what I wanted to say. I was always hoping that, that they would go back and maybe even call this movie Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. I think Brand New Day is actually a
But they
better
called
title.
the cartoon that, so
Yeah,
they could.
the Brand New Day is a great title. But to see Tom Holland, who's really shepherded this, he's talked a lot in interviews about this was the first time he had creative input into the story, which is, I think, really great for him. And as his own life has changed and now he's really grown up in this role. I mean, he was, I think, 19 or 20 when the first movie came out. To see him sort of mature into this role and make it his own. And like we all know, we've seen all kinds of apocalyptic, world-ending, booty shaking excitement. To bring this back and bring it into the real world, and having Peter Parker having to deal with himself, and from what I understand, these physical changes are brought on about some of his real world anxiety about what's going on in his own life. I love that idea. I mean, I love the idea that his mutations never stopped, that he was bitten by this spider, and that eventually the physicality of his condition just took a little longer than it did for, say, the Spider-Man from the original Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Obviously was always physical, but I love the fact that that manifestation is another thing that you have to deal with when you're getting older. Your body changes, your physicality changes, and I like that they're using that as a metaphor. And from what I've understood, he's great friends with John Bernthal, and to have them have their stuff and the villains. I mean, it's still a Spider-Man movie. I mean, I always read, and I understand when you're talking about an MCU film, we want certain things out of superhero films, but I feel like everybody wants every single movie to be this life-changing, perfect entertainment. And I'm always trying to look at things like, okay, did this movie serve the character of Spider-Man well? Do I enjoy delving into Spider-Man's life for the fourth time in this movie? That's what I'm looking for. And it seems like for a lot of the people that I already trust, who love genre movies and understand what comic book movies can be, they seem to like it. And it's, if you want to look at other things, like I read this, not IndieWire gave it like a C-. And I was reading this going, come on, dude, you have to, I always talk about watching movies at scale. Not every movie is Amadeus or Lawrence of Arabia. And if you're watching a Spider-Man movie, we now have a pantheon of Spider-Man movies that you can look at. And we have a pantheon of Spider-Man entertainment over the last 60 years. And we know what makes a good Spider-Man story, and we know what makes a bad Spider-Man story. So we can understand what we hope to get out of it and what the movie achieves. And by trying to turn it into something other than it is, seems to me to be a fool's errand. You have to judge this on being an MCU movie and being a Spider-Man movie. And from what I see, it seems like it's going to be very enjoyable to me.
Here's an interesting thing, and I'd love to know in the live chat if this is wrong, but it seems to me, because I can't think of any off the top of my head, this might be the first time in cinematic history that obviously when Monday comes, Spider-Man will be #1 at the box office. It's also pretty clear that Odyssey is going to be #2 at the box office. This might be the first time in cinematic history that 3 stars are going to be in the #1 and the #2 movies. Because remember, Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day all have John Bernthal, Zendaya, and Tom Holland. They're in both. And I don't know if that has ever happened. I'd love to know if anybody can think of another example, but I think this might be the first time ever that has happened, where the #1 and the #2 movie will
Zendaya's
be
in Dune 3.
And well, this is Zendaya, but I mean at the same time.
But at the same time, yeah.
At the
John,
same time, they're going to be in that.
Odyssey hasn't even opened in China yet. And it has this gigantic push. It's like their largest ever IMAX release in China. Is one of the biggest IMAX screen counts in the world, if not the biggest. And Odyssey is going to open there. And it's already, Odyssey has grossed 652 million worldwide. And yesterday, domestically, it grossed almost $30 million.
You want to know something else
Sunday.
fun? Want to know something else fun? So yesterday, we talked about this number, that Odyssey, having made $87 million on its second weekend, only became the third film in movie history that opened with over $100 million that took less than a 30% drop. It's number 3. Well, we told you guys yesterday that the initial projections were 87 million. It was changed. The actuals came in now. Odyssey's second weekend was 90 million.
And you said that. You said it could be 90.
Yeah, we said it could be 90. They are now at 90, which means the actual drop is 27.1%, which now makes the Odyssey the all-time lowest second weekend drop for a film that opened to over $100 million.
See, I knew my lower third wasn't incorrect. It was just a little ahead.
It's just a little, you just were ahead of the game. You were ahead of the class. So, I mean, again, so now we're going to have Spider-Man in number 1 with Zendaya, Tom Holland, and John Bernthal, and the Odyssey in number 2, which is going to have Zendaya, Tom Holland, and John Bernthal.
And
I'd
John,
like to
I
ask,
think,
go ahead.
ahead.
I was going to say, I'd like to ask Rob if he feels satisfied, because it was only a few months ago when Rob was lamenting, nobody reads, people don't know what the Odyssey is, nobody's going to want to see this, I'm really afraid it's not going to do great. And I just want to know, are you happy with audiences turning out for this?
Well, Jonathan, I've been shocked at how every single person I know or that I follow on Twitter turned out to be a Homeric scholar.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
They all
I
know
had
best.
no idea how many people had not only read every iteration of Homer's The Odyssey, but could opine on all of the various iterations that they'd read.
It's incredible.
Who knew? Who knew?
By the way, I was having this debate with somebody. I know we're going off track here, but I was having this discussion with somebody. Said, I just don't like that Christopher Nolan strayed from the original writings of Homer and didn't stay true to the text. And I'm like, say that again. Said, the original writings of Homer didn't stay true to the text. You do know that Homer never wrote the Odyssey down, right? Like, you do know that it was just passed down orally for centuries until finally they wrote it down, right? But no, like you said, Rob, everybody came out of the woodwork and everybody was an expert on Homer poetry, and everybody knows the Iliad, and everybody knows. And anyway, it was so funny. Anyway,
it's funny when we deal with these pop culture events that everybody wants to opine on and pretend that they do that with everything. They do it with politics. But this has been particularly funny to me, listening to everybody suddenly come out of the woodwork. I mean, I think I'm a fairly educated guy, and I had a pretty good public education. And we did learn the Odyssey and the Iliad, or the Iliad and the Odyssey. We did learn that. But, I don't remember in my class, everybody suddenly became Homeric scholars. And in my case, it was over 40 years ago. So, and then I read Dan Simmons wrote an excellent science fiction duology called Ilium and Olympos, which was a science fiction take on the Odyssey and the Iliad and the Odyssey that was set on Mars, believe it or not. So, wow.
Well, hey, we've gone way off thing, and we're talking about Spider-Man here. And now all eyes are going to turn now to the opening weekend of Spider-Man Brand New Day, now being buoyed by these. Now, you guys probably have seen, I've already seen people in our own live chat saying they're not projecting 300 million. No, they're not. Just guys, they're not. Follow the source of what you're reading. That just some outlets are saying they're now tracking it, but when you actually look at where they're getting that from, it's not from one of the reliable actual industry box office trackers. The numbers they are saying is still right around and maybe a little over 250, which doesn't mean it can't hit 300 million. It totally can. But just to be clear, these reports of it's now tracking for 300 million. No, it's not. It might hit it, but that's not what it's tracking at right now. But it's going to be interesting. But here's the other thing I've been saying. I said this on the show last week. The number one best piece of potential hype machine and marketing that Avengers Doomsday has is Spider-Man Brand New Day. If audiences come out of Spider-Man Brand New Day, if they come out of an MCU movie as big and high profile as this one, and they're buzzing and they loved it and they had a good time, you're going to start to see estimates for Doomsday go up a few notches. Because
Yeah, I
this is
think
the
so.
absolute, and the reverse could be true. I mean, if Spider-Man sucked, I think that would hurt Doomsday quite a bit. But it looks like it's all going to work in its favor. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about all this? The full reviews for Spider-Man Brand New Day are out. And while they are, technically speaking, the lowest critic ratings of all the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, it's literally just 4% away from being the highest critically rated of all the Spider-Man movies. It's very consistent with them. Anyway, the word is really, really quite good. Are you excited to see it? Maybe you're not. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, it's time for us to move on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we will bid good afternoon to writer, director, producer extraordinaire, Mr. Robert Meyer Burnett. We'll talk to you tomorrow, sir.
Yes, sir.
And, of course, our technical director, Jonathan Voico. Thanks again, man. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you. See you guys soon.
All right, guys. Let's now get over to your questions. As I mentioned earlier, we had, I left the super chats open way too long yesterday. And so I wasn't able to finish up all the super chats that got sent in yesterday. So I'm going to start off by answering the ones left over from yesterday, and then we'll roll right into the ones you guys sent in today. Just so you know, the super chats are already turned off because we've got a lot to get to here today. So let's get over to it here, shall we? I believe we're starting out with Femi, who writes, with directors like Destin Daniel Cretton and Sean Levy doing multiple projects in the MCU, and with the success of Sinners, why wouldn't Marvel ask Ryan Coogler to help pen the story for Blade? Well, I mean, I would ask the question, why would they? Because he's black? Anyway, yes, listen, Ryan Coogler is obviously an excellent filmmaker, but he's also got a career. Right? He's working on other things. He has other things that he's doing. He's not just sitting around Marvel's parking lot waiting for Kevin Feige to walk outside and say, who needs a job? And then Ryan Coogler will raise his hand. He's a busy guy. So, because he's so excellent, and he's right now kind of focused on Black Panther 3 and all that kind of stuff. So that would probably be why they are not just going to Ryan Coogler to try to get him to do it, because he's busy. All right. And you don't just want to go to the same guy for everything. I mean, you got to mix it up a little bit. All right. Thanks for the question, Femi. Appreciate that, man. Next up, Trollmageddon writes, I live here in Vegas. It's the best damn city in the world, except for paying to park. Yes, Comic-Con and every other con should be here. P.S. John, let's go tag team a poker table soon. Yeah, listen, I do love Vegas. I go there all the time. I'm there at least 6 or 7 or 8 times a year. I love Vegas, and it is built to handle conventions like Comic-Con without breaking a sweat. Here's the thing. Vegas hosts major big conventions every single weekend. They host one called CES, which is known as the Consumer Electronics Show. It is literally triple the size of Comic-Con, maybe even 4 times the size as Comic-Con. And nobody has to enter a raffle to get a hotel room. Hotel rooms don't explode in prices because Vegas has trillions of hotel rooms. So their prices don't go up. There are a million restaurant options. And most importantly, their convention center is triple the size of the convention center in San Diego Comic-Con. I have been an advocate for years that Comic-Con would be much better served moving to Vegas. You wouldn't have all the nightmares and lotteries and paying $500 a night for a hotel. I think now I do believe there are some solutions in San Diego to help alleviate some of the problems as well. But yeah, man, I just San Diego Comic-Con would be vastly better served in Las Vegas because Las Vegas is built to handle it without a sweat. Built to handle it without a sweat. Anyway, this is kind of my take on it. All right, thanks for that, man. Next up, Matthew Brown writes, Hollywood's hottest name is Ryan Gosling as my favorite Marvel character, Ghost Rider, with Sean Levy directing. An R-rated Johnny Blaze, or I hope Danny Ketch Ghost Rider movie will be epic. I'm very excited, but I don't know that Ryan Gosling is the hottest name in Hollywood. I mean, it's not like every movie he does blows up, but I mean, look, Project Hail Mary is like my third favorite movie of the year. I love that thing. Obviously, he was so good playing Ken and Barbie. I'm just going with the recent stuff. And now we got Starfighter coming, which looks like it's going to be great. Kevin Feige's seen it. He says it's fantastic. And now he's going to be Ghost Rider. And I was I was excited to see my good Canadian brother, Ryan Gosling, good Canadian kid, getting the role in Ghost Rider. But I'm not going to lie, I was even more excited to see Sean Levy was going to be directing it. So I think it's going to be pretty special. We'll see how it all comes down to. All right. Next up, R. Lee writes, we've had $3 billion movies so far in 2026, Super Mario Galaxy, Michael, and Toy Story 5. I'm projecting The Odyssey and Spider-Man Brand New Day will also join that club. Are movie theaters back? Well, I mean, we've been talking for like ever since the beginning of the year that they were actually projecting that this year would be the biggest year at the box office since 2019, which is, of course, the pre-pandemic year. So it does kind of look like things are back. As a matter of fact, when I was doing an editorial on all the financial problems AMC was having and how their stock dropped below $1, but at the very end of that editorial, I said, but it's not all doom and gloom for AMC. This stock could easily completely rebound because we've got a lot of big movies coming out this year, and we're supposed to have the biggest box office year in years, like since the pandemic, and that could very well rebound the AMC stock. Now, the AMC stock is still very low, but it's like way higher than it was, and that's a lot of thanks to these movies that are opening big. I'm still not sure The Odyssey hits $1 billion. I mean, it's on track to hit $1 billion, but guys, listen, we've got a little thing called Spider-Man Brand New Day opening this weekend. That's not going to destroy The Odyssey, but it's going to hamper The Odyssey's box office results this weekend because everybody's going to go see Spider-Man. So it's going to be interesting. Look, it's on track to get to $1 billion. Yes, I'm still not 100% convinced it gets to $1 billion. I think it'll get to around, Oppenheimer numbers, like 900 million plus, but who knows? It could totally eclipse it. You never know. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Samuel writes, in an interview with Brandon Davis, Feige chimed in on the build-up argument, saying Thanos' build-up was exaggerated and they considered Infinity War his debut. I completely agree. People talk about how, well, how can you do Doctor Doom and Doomsday? You haven't had any build-up. Since when does a good movie with a great villain need build-up? Is there a Darth Vader standalone movie that came out before Star Wars that I'm not aware of? There was no build-up. And yet he instantly became the greatest villain in screen history, in my opinion. Did Hans Gruber need build-up before being one of the other greatest cinematic villains in history in Die Hard? No, you just have a great story with a great character written really well, and that's all you need. And I've also always said on this show, Thanos really didn't have any build-up either. Other than, look everybody, it's Thanos. And that's it in a couple of movies. I agree with Kevin Feige. The real introduction was Infinity War. That was the real introduction. Him saying one line, I'll do it myself, is not build-up. That's not build-up. Anyway, so I agree with Kevin Feige's sentiments, myself personally. I think he's right about that. Okay, next up. GK Beetle writes, what are you most looking forward to once you retire? I think, honestly, the thing I am most looking forward to is traveling. Now, thanks to my van, I get to do a lot of travel. I probably, if I didn't have my van, I think I would have retired by now. I think I would have retired if it wasn't for getting my van. Like, two things happened. One, I got the new sponsorship deal, which has been very lucrative for us, and that certainly helped. But two, I got the van. And the reason the van is great, there's my van. We named it Colossus. And I've been able to take it on the road, do all the movie meetup tours and with it, and travel, go see my family, travel around. I love it. But the key thing is, if you look at this picture here, the entire back is like a big giant U-shaped couch with a great desk, and there's a TV mounted on the wall. But I also have Starlink built into the van. There's a Starlink satellite dish on the roof of the van, which means everywhere I go, I have high-speed internet. And what I do is I set up my studio, my office at the back. You see the little computer right here at the front? And by the way, right above that laptop, Anne has a monitor now that she has attached to the top. So there's a second monitor attached right above the laptop now. That wasn't there when this picture was taken. And she works up here at the front. And then I go to the back and set up everything in the back. And I'm able to work on the road. You can see I've got a shower and a bathroom and a full kitchen and fridge. And you see the dining room table in the back? Now look above it. You see the roof has all those little spotlights? That's actually the bed. So when Ann and I are going to bed at night, we just hit a button and that roof over the dining table, that entire thing lowers down and it's a queen size bed that comes down. So I already get to do some traveling as a result of having the van and being able to travel around. Actually, here's a little shot of, this isn't my streaming setup, but here's a little shot of me sitting in the back of the van watching TV while doing some work on my laptop. Anyway, but I'm looking forward to doing even more traveling. And I love getting out on the road. I love going to different cities. I love traveling around and seeing all these great things and going to great events. And yeah, so that is probably what I'm looking forward to most. And just getting to being more available for Anne and being around, getting to hang out with my best friend and my wife more often. So that's what I'm looking forward to. All right. Oops, I lost my spot here. Let me get back down here. We are at... I keep hitting the wrong buttons. Mike T sent in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Mike. And Mike writes, I've been watching you for 13 years. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. I remember when you talked about assigned seating in theaters. That was my big pet peeve about movies for a long time. Before it was trailer runtime, it was assigned movie theater seating. I scoffed. A few years later, we got it in Ohio, and now I never want to go back to those barbaric times. Sorry I doubted you. Yeah, guys, a lot of you may forget, it wasn't that long ago. I'll take out my headphones. It wasn't that long ago that we lived in the dark times. While everyone else in the world had pre-assigned seating in their movie theaters, we still lived in that barbaric era where, like, oh, I'm going to go see Spider-Man Brand New Day tomorrow, right? Well, in the dark times, I wouldn't know if I was getting a good seat or not. I wouldn't know where I was sitting. I would literally have to go to the movie theater like 3 hours early. And I did this a lot. Go to the movie theater 2-3 hours early to get in line just so I can hope to get a decent seat. Barbaric. Dark Ages. What the hell were we doing? Why were we so far behind? And for a long time, that was my big personal mission, was to get our movie theater industry in North America to get with the modern days and start having pre-assigned seating. So it's one of the best advances they've made in a long time. Anyway, thanks for the comment, Mike. Appreciate it, man. All right, next up, we got Mohala writes, hey, John, did you see Discussing Film and Box Office Global report that Spider-Man Brand New Day could open to 800 million worldwide? Yeah, but Discussing Film isn't reporting that. They're reporting that they saw somebody else say that. Just to be clear on that. Could open 800 million worldwide. If so, what's your take on it? And do you buy it? Love the show. Thanks. I don't think it makes 800 million on its first weekend worldwide. I mean, listen, at this point, I wouldn't write anything off. I mean, who knows? So is it possible? It's possible. But I don't like to deal in possibilities. I like to deal in probabilities. I don't think it's probable that it will. But again, I'm not going to be in the doubting Spider-Man business, especially after the last one almost made $2 billion at the box office. So no, I don't think it'll hit 800 million. But if it does, woo, we're going to have some things to talk about. Oh my God, we're going to have some things to talk about. Yeah. So we'll see how that all goes. All right. Next up, our friend Bobby Jackson writes in and says, maybe they should do a lottery system for badge holders for Hall H when they know Marvel is attending, or have Marvel go first so people aren't standing in standby lines all day hoping to get in. Well, you can't have Marvel go first because that's your main event, right? So I get that. You can't have them go first. I don't mind the idea of, say, charge admission for it. Say, look, and pre-assign the seats. Charge $5 for a ticket. And once they're sold out, you're sold out, and you know if you got a ticket or not. Just that simple. That way, people don't have to stand in line for 24 hours to get in. They already know they've got seat JJ15. They already know it. They know they have their seat. So they can show up to Hall H 30 minutes before the presentation starts. They know where their seat is. No problem. And I'm sure that once some people buy their tickets for $5, that ticket might then be on eBay for $5,000. Maybe. But it certainly would be a better system than the gaggle fuck that they have right now. And I say that I am harsh on Comic-Con because I love them. I don't get too harsh on things I hate. I get harsher on things that I love. I love the movie industry. I love movie theaters. That's why I'm hard on them on their bullshit run times of their trailers. I love Comic-Con. That's why I'm hard on them when they do such idiotic things like the way they run Hall H. I say it because I love them and I want them to succeed and I want it to be the best thing ever. But the way they do it right now is pure idiocy and incompetent. It's incompetence. And I know there are people on San Diego Comic-Con's executive board that watch this show. And I love you guys. But we've been making the same complaints about this for years, and you've done nothing. What happened at this year's Hall H is inexcusable. And it has been wildly predictable. Why? Because even an idiot moron like me told you this was going to happen years ago. And if an idiot moron like me is telling you it's going to happen, you should be smart enough to figure it out. The absolute clusterfuck that is Hall H has been completely predictable, obvious, and it's been right there, and it's been going on for years, and you've done nothing. You've done nothing. So fix this damn thing, man. Fix it. Anyway, thank you, Bobby. Next up, Matthew Brown writes, someone on X, some random person on Twitter, who cares? Anyway, someone on X have a very interesting theory that Marvel has already hinted at which version Ghost Rider Ryan Gosling will play. They hint that the logo they used at San Diego Comic-Con, that's Danny Ketch's comic logo. They're not the first person to point that out, Matthew. That was instantly recognized by a bunch of people as well. That does not necessarily mean that that's what they'll do. If that is just the accepted used, and I don't know if this is the case, just being clear. If that is the commonly used accepted Ghost Rider logo right now, then that could be why they're using it. And by the way, by the time we get to the movie, that might not be the logo at all. But on its surface, that's not a bad theory. On its surface is not a bad theory. I still think they will do Johnny Blaze. Won't for sure. Because listen, when they did Ant-Man, they didn't do the OG most famous Ant-Man, Hank Pym, right? They fast forwarded and just had him in there as the former Ant-Man. So maybe they won't do Johnny Blaze. But look, my guess, uneducated, completely pulled out of my ass, total guess. My guess is that it'll be Johnny Blaze, but it absolutely could be Danny. We'll see. All right. Thanks for that, Matthew. Next up, J.M. Marsh writes, will Sacha Baron Cohen return in Ghost Rider? I don't think so. I do think, and I hope we see Sacha Baron Cohen as Mephisto again. Again, I was pretty disappointed in the Ironheart series, but the absolute highlight of it was Sacha Baron Cohen. I mean, he was only made brief appearances, but man, that one scene of him with her in the restaurant near the end, that was some great stuff. I would love to see him back. I have a feeling it won't be in Ghost Rider, but it's a totally valid option, right? Like, it's on that same kind of plane that you would need for a villain in a Ghost Rider movie. Like, whether they do Blackheart or whether they do somebody else, I mean, he'd be a decent option. I just don't think they'll do it with this movie, but it would be pretty cool if they did. All right. Mark writes, Destin Daniel Cretton, Shang-Chi, Wonder Man, Spider-Man Brand New Day was originally going to direct Avengers Kang Dynasty. Yep. Solid choice for a canceled movie. Yeah, I mean, look, when they canceled Kang Dynasty, they knew they were going to go now in a totally different direction. And obviously they didn't cancel it because of Destin Daniel Cretton. They loved him so much, they were like, hey, how about instead of doing this Avengers movie, we give you Spider-Man? That's not a bad consolation prize. Because obviously the direction they were going to go in required the Russo brothers. Now they're going Doomsday, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, man, it's good to be Destin Daniel Cretton right now. Shang-Chi is my either number 1 or number 2 favorite Marvel film post Endgame. Now, Grant, I like that movie more than most people do, but I loved Shang-Chi. Love that movie. Wonder Man was a revelation. Like, I was not expecting much from Wonder Man, and it is utterly fantastic. And now hopefully he'll be 3 for 3 with Spider-Man. I'll know for sure once I see it tomorrow. But yeah, it's good to be him right now, dude. Thanks for that, Mark. Next up, Sin Vendetta sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Sin Vendetta. Appreciate that, man. And Sin Vendetta writes, was out at Warped Tour all weekend, so I was behind on the Marvel Hall H news, but my biggest surprise was David Johnson being cast as the new Black Panther. Dude is a phenomenal actor and deserves this opportunity. I'll tell you what, that was my second favorite piece of news. Now look, am I happy that they're making the new Black Panther T'Challa Jr. instead of just bringing back T'Challa? No. I think just like not recasting him for Black Panther 2, I think this is a mistake. 100% I think it's a mistake. That being said, if you're going to make the mistake, and it's a mistake, they should just bring back T'Challa, not T'Challa Jr. But if you're going to bring in a new T'Challa Jr., dude, this is the guy to cast. I have been raving about this dude since I didn't even know his name and I saw him in Alien Romulus. Because I remember going, and dude, the guy who played the synthetic stole this movie. He's awesome. And then we got to see him in The Long Walk, which is a great movie. But oh my God, his performance in The Long Walk, top shelf. Absolute top shelf. So you put those two things together, I think he will kill it in whatever he does. I think he will absolutely kill whatever he does. So I may not like the fact that they're making him be T'Challa Jr. instead of actually T'Challa, but if whatever, you've got a good actor in there. And he's a good choice, man. And I cannot wait to see what he does in this role. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be absolutely great. I'm so excited for it. All right. Thanks for that, Sin Vendetta. Appreciate that, man. Let's see here. Christian writes, have you seen the new Matchbox movie trailer? I have not. I saw this morning that it dropped, but I haven't watched it yet. I've not watched it yet. I'll probably have to take a look at it a little bit later. Maybe we'll talk about it on the show tomorrow. But at this point, no, I have not seen it. All right. Let's see. Next up, we got Ryan, who writes, now that you've seen it, was that House of the Dragon death everything you hoped? Oh my God, dude. I want to talk about House of the Dragon so bad because this season has been so fucking phenomenal. This season's been phenomenal. And one of the things I love about that death scene that starts off the episode, I won't say who it is in case there's anybody who hasn't seen it yet, is that it feels like real history. 99% of the time, big, significant, important people in history don't die in some blaze of glory way. They often die in some mundane way. when the planet offed Hitler, he didn't die in some big heroic mission by the Allies, an infiltrated thing, and in a big glorious, firefight, Hitler fell. Nah, that guy was cornered in a bunker and he offed himself. And so I really like the fact that both Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon don't always feel like a significant character needs some grand offing. Sometimes it can be done and should be done in a more whimper. Like, to me, that just makes it feel more gritty to me. And I hated that character. I mean, I loved to hate that character. So I was very happy. And I love the way it happened. By the way, you might have noticed the person who offs him is now here and is a pretty significant character in the story as well. Anyway, thanks for that, Ryan. All right. Next up. Where are we at? We're at Love Angel, who writes, kind of wild that Adam Driver can turn down big roles. For those of you who don't know what he's talking about, the other day we discussed this. Kevin Feige was talking about how, because there was a report going around that Adam Driver might be playing Magneto. And Kevin Feige addressed this. He was asked about it, and he said, look, it's now a tradition. Every time we're doing a movie, we get on a Zoom call with Adam to offer him a role, and it's a tradition that he always passes. But when you're an Academy Award level actor like Adam Driver, you kind of get your pick of, I mean, it's not like he can pick any movie he wants to be in anywhere. Like, he's not necessarily at Leo level, but he's at a level where he can pick and choose what he wants to do. He also has enough money now in his life that he doesn't have to work ever again in his life if he didn't want to. But yeah, he can just turn down roles. Even huge, incredibly big ones, he can just turn them down if you want. He's earned it. He's at that point in his career and he's earned it. Anyway, good observation there, Love Angel. Next up, Rich Reviews writes, according to YouTuber / podcaster Professor Scott Galloway, who I've never heard of, which is okay. They've probably never heard of me either. He met several economic business people who broke down how this merger didn't meet the threshold to which would be a monopoly. Yeah, okay, that's great, but I've seen a lot of breakdowns where it does. And the 12 states presented their case so well that a judge looked at it and said, yes, this will meet the criteria. Because you also got to remember, when you say the word monopoly, it doesn't necessarily need to be a monopoly. Within the laws themselves, there are specific numbers designated that says we don't want a percentage of ownership in a particular industry to exceed this percentage mark. Now, to some people, that percentage mark might make a monopoly or it might not, but that's the law. The law is, hey, if you are in this industry and you acquire whatever, that you now represent X percentage of the industry, for the purposes of the statute, this is a monopoly. So you can be fine. You can talk to whoever you want to talk about. The question is, does it exceed the threshold that passes it into the definition of what the law lays it out as? And if it does, whatever semantics you want to use, for all intents and purposes, is monopoly. So we'll see how the whole court thing works out, though, Rich. All right. Lana writes, first-time Super Chat user from Hamilton, my hometown, the Hammer. When you're back home, what is your Timmy's order? Drink and donut, double plus honey cruller, regular plus chocolate dip. Thank you to you and the team for all that you do. Well, first of all, Lana, I love hearing people from my own town. Hamilton is the greatest city in the world. It's about 45 minutes outside of Toronto. So when all my American friends ask me, where are you from? I just generally tell them Toronto because they won't know where Hamilton is. But I'm a very proud Hamiltonian. The Hammer, it's the greatest city in the world. I love it. It's home. It will always be home. And for those of you who are not Canadian, Tim Hortons is like a religious ritual every day for people. Like in Canada, people don't say, I need my morning coffee, like they say here. In Canada, people say, I gotta have my Timmy's. Coffee, Timmy's is interchangeable with each other. Just interchangeable. Like, it is a common standard thing in Canada that says, can't start my day without my Timmies. Can't start my day without my Timmies. That's just a standard thing. It's so ingrained in Canadian culture, particularly around Hamilton. For me, I don't drink coffee. I'm weird, man. I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink coffee. I'm pretty vanilla. Dude, I drink water and I drink Zevia and I drink Diet Pepsi. But yeah, I'm not a coffee drinker. So when I do go to Tim Hortons, I get, oh no, dude, Rob, no. Don't compare Starbucks in the US to Tim Hortons in Canada. It's nowhere near the same level. It is nowhere near the same level. What Tim Hortons is in Canada to Canadians far exceeds what Starbucks is to Americans. Just to let you know, that's not saying Tim Hortons is better than Starbucks. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying what Tim Hortons is to Canadians far exceeds what Starbucks is to Americans. And as somebody who's lived in America for like 17 years, I can tell you that is an absolute fact. That being said, my order when I go to Tim Hortons is the nectar of the gods. It is the greatest pastry ever created. On the 8th day, God anointed it. Tim Hortons Boston cream donut. My mouth right now is watering so hard just at the fact I may be even getting hard just thinking about the Tim Hortons Boston cream donut. It is the greatest pastry ever created. I've tried American Boston cream donuts. They don't come anywhere close. I've tried other Canadian versions of Boston cream donuts. Does not come close to it. The Tim Hortons Boston cream donut. Oh my God. It's so good. I could sit down with 3 or 4 Boston cream donuts and a chug of milk and just, I'm getting excited just thinking about it. Anyway, Lana, thank you for writing in from Hamilton. I love hearing from people from the hometown. And thank you for that. I hope that answers your question. Next up, Attack of the Mushi writes, the worst 9th film, Star Wars or Fast 9? Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker is a horrendous abortion of a movie. Fast 9 is even worse. Fast 9 is even worse. Yeah. I'm going to say Fast 9. I'm going to go with that one. They're both horrible, but I'm going to go with Fast 9. Let's see. Next up, King Daddy Goat writes in my opinion, Tony yielding the stones is the best cinematic moment. Oh, you probably mean wielding the stones. Is probably the best cinematic moment in modern history. I don't agree. I am Iron Man. Still gives me chills to this day. Excited for Doomsday. I'll be honest with you. It's a good moment. It's a very, very good moment. I'll be honest with you. I don't even think it's a top 5 MCU moment. Like, it's a really good one. Very good one. But I don't know if I'd say it's in the top 5. It's in the top 10. It's in the top 10 for me. But yeah, I don't know if I put it in the top 5. And the I am Iron Man is a good line. It's a good line given the history of the character and all that kind of stuff. But I still think maybe my all-time favorite moment in the MCU, it still might be the biggest pop I've ever heard in an MCU movie. And I'm not even going to say portals, is that moment in Infinity War when Wanda and Vision are fighting the Order. They're fighting Thanos's goons. And they're down in the subway station and their fight proceeds. And then the train goes by and stepping out of the shadows is Steve Rogers with the beard, and he's in the shadow and he just steps out of the shadow. That's great. Thor's bring me Thanos moment. Great. Also in Infinity War, there's a great moment with Thor and Rocket when he says, "And if I'm wrong, what else do I have to lose?" That is a heartbreaking, beautiful, fantastic moment. Under Ruse in Civil War was a great moment. Yeah, the Tony moment is great. Don't get it, it's absolutely great. I think it's top 10. I wouldn't put it at the top, but that's just me. But it is a great moment. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? We're at VDub, who writes, "This obviously won't happen due to Julian McMahon passing, but I'd love to see Robert Downey Jr.'s destroy the first 2 iterations of Doctor Doom." Yeah, it's really sad, Julian McMahon passing. And you know, I feel bad. You guys remember Erin Cummings, the wonderful Erin Cummings. She worked with Julian McMahon on Nip Tuck. And she was a love interest of Julian McMahon's on Nip Tuck. She also played Spartacus's wife in the show Spartacus. And like poor Erin, like she lost both of those guys. Like Julian McMahon passed away. The lead of Spartacus then passed away after their season together. It's just, she's lost some like really, really good, talented people that she's worked with over the year. Of course, she is now living the wonderful life up in New York State with her fantastic husband and their 2 great kids. And maybe one of these days I should get Erin. I was actually texting with Erin like a week or 2 ago. Maybe one of these days I should get her to come on and do a guest spot. You know, one of my favorite experiences ever doing the John Campea Show was the one year at CinemaCon where it was just me and Erin. Just like nobody else was available and just Erin and I went to Comic-Con. And I don't know if a lot of you guys were around when we did that Comic-Con. It was just Erin and I, but we got into this debate about Meet Eric Hansen or Bob Hansen or whatever the name of that movie was. And we got into this huge debate about it. It was a lot of fun. And it was one of my favorite experiences. Just me and Erin. It was one of my favorite experiences. Anyway. All right, let's keep going here. Cameron Barnett writes, "If you had the option of seeing Avengers in IMAX 70mm, explain why you would choose IMAX over Dolby or vice versa." No, I wouldn't. I would choose Dolby. Now, I love IMAX. Do not misinterpret me. I love the IMAX experience. I really do. Any day I know I'm going to go see a 70mm IMAX presentation is a good day. But my theater of choice is the Dolby Atmos, the Dolby Prime theater. And there are 3 reasons why I choose it. Number 1, the sound is insane. I just think the sound in a Dolby theater is just the top of the top. I just think it's the best audio experience you can have in a movie theater. Number 2, the dual laser projection system in the Dolby Cinema is just immaculate. It is the deepest darks, the richest colors. It's just an amazing image. IMAX 70mm is the sharpest, most amazing resolution image you can get. But there's something about that Dolby dual laser projection system and the way it recreates colors is just breathtaking to me. The third reason why I would choose it is, and this is not anything to do with the movie, I love my motorized leather recliners. I'll be honest with you, I find some of the seats in IMAX theaters very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable. As a matter of fact, when Ann and I went to go see The Odyssey, we got into the theater about 5 minutes before the movie started. And we honestly said, do we just leave? Because the seats were that uncomfortable to us. Anyway, the Dolby Prime in AMC theaters, at least, their leather recliners are extremely comfy. And I just love being totally relaxed, being able to watch the movie there. So again, I absolutely adore IMAX 70mm. Love it. But if I had to choose, I was in the movie theater, I could either go see Avengers Doomsday in the 70mm or I could go see Avengers Doomsday in the Prime Dolby. It's a win either way, but I would probably choose the Prime Dolby, and that's why. All right. Thanks for the question, Cameron. Next up, We got Matthew who writes and sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Matthew, for supporting us on that level, man. And Matthew writes, happy to hear that Coyote versus Acme being compared to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Saw the latter in theaters as a kid and fell in love with it. Been waiting for another great hybrid film like this for a long time. And it looks like... And Matthew never got part 2 in. Oh, no, it's right above it. I just missed it. And it looks like Coyote versus Acme will be that great film. I'm excited as hell. It's only one short month away. Also, Foghorn threatening Cena was pure gold. You know what? I think Foghorn Leghorn, other than Pinky and the Brain, I think Foghorn Leghorn is my favorite Looney Tunes character. I really do. I'll say, I don't know why. I just find him hilarious. I've always found Foghorn Leghorn hilarious. The non-traditional ones is Pinky and the Brain. The Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other insane. To show their mousy worth, they'll overthrow the earth. They're Pinky and the Brain. I love Pinky and the Brain. Oh, I love all the Animaniacs. I mean, oh God, I used to love the Animaniacs. Sorry, I'm getting off topic here. Yes. Oh, wait a second. Well, Pinky and the Brain isn't Looney Tunes. I don't know. What do they qualify then as? What do they qualify as? Narf. Oh, and by the way, they were dirty. They were dirty. I remember they did this one joke that I at first didn't really get. And then later I'm like, oh my God, how did they get away with it? They did this joke on Animaniacs where Yakko, Wacko, and Dot were investigating something. And this is the filthiest thing. I cannot believe they got away with this. And they're doing an investigation and they say, we've got to find fingerprints. And then it cuts to Dot holding Prince, the musical artist Prince. She goes, I found Prince. And then goes back to Yakko, who says, no, fingerprints. And then it cuts back to Dot holding Prince. She goes, I don't think so. This was a kid's show. And they're joking about Dot using one of her digits to anally probe Purple Rain Man. Like fingerprints. I don't think so. And the Hello Nurse jokes, some of the Hello Nurse jokes also went, but I think they did them in such a way that a kid wouldn't get it, but I'm still very shocked. But yeah, look, I still have some very legitimate doubts that Coyote versus Acme is going to make any money. That said, the reviews are terrific. I thought the newest trailer was ripping hilarious. What did you tee? What did you taw? I thought that made me laugh so hard. I'm going to be there opening day and I'm excited to see it. I still have my doubts it's going to make any money, but I'm excited to see it. I'm glad you are too, Matthew. Thank you so much, dude, again, for supporting us on that level. That's very generous of you, guy. I appreciate it very, very much. All right. Next up. Let's see. Josh writes, The Odyssey is projected to pass Oppenheimer's $330 million domestic by Wednesday or Thursday. Will beat it after only 12 to 13 days after release, 550 plus million domestic incoming. I mean, again, it is now on track to pass the $1 billion mark. Now, again, it's going to hit a road bump with Spider-Man opening in theaters this week, but it does look like it's going to be a $1 billion film. I still have my doubts it'll get there, but certainly all the tracking says it's going to get there. And somewhere, this is true. I saw this one. So there's this one person that I remember early on saying, Odyssey, it's going to flop. It's got to make like 850 million just to break even. And you know what? They're not wrong. Because of Emma Thompson's Thomas's and Christopher Nolan's 20% gross that they get on this movie, this movie from its production budget and marketing should be breaking even right now. It should be about $650 million to break even. The Nolan tax, and only Christopher Nolan can demand this kind of stuff, him and Emma getting 20% gross on the movie means that the Odyssey has to hit the staggering number of like $850 million just to break even, to pay Christopher Nolan. So I remember seeing this one person writing before, because they were one of these ones who was hating on it because, you have Elliot Page in it. You have a black girl in it. Fucking pussies. Anyway, so they're saying it's got to make 850. And the thing was, well, you're not wrong. You're not really wrong. Because of the Nolan tax, it probably does need to make that much money to break even. When it started becoming apparent after the opening weekend, without addressing why, they just magically changed that number to $1 billion. Like they were saying, it's got to make $850 million to break even. Then it had a big opening weekend. And all of a sudden was, this movie needs to make $1 billion to break even. Weren't you saying it needed to make $850 million? Okay, whatever. Now you're saying it's got to be $1 billion. Well, then it has the greatest second weekend in cinematic history as far as second weekend drop-offs go. And I just saw they changed their number again. So it needs to make $1.3 billion just to break even. It's like, wait, what? Didn't you just say just a little while ago it was supposed to be $850 million? Then you said it was $1 billion. Now you're saying it's like 1.3. Like they just keep moving it. Like, because the more and more it looks like Odyssey is going to make, they keep moving the goalposts. It's just, anyway. Before you know it, it's going to be the first film in cinematic history that needs to make $3 billion to break even. But such is the logic of some of these people. Anyway. All right. Yeah, man. I mean, I still have some doubts that it'll get to $1 billion, but it is on track to do it. So we'll see how it ultimately ends up. All right. Next up, we've got Julianne, who writes, which is more important in an entertaining film? If you could only have one, strong story or strong characters? It's a great question, and I don't mean to push on it, but can you have strong characters without a strong story? Are the two synonymous? Because I would tend to think in order for a story to be strong, you need strong characters in it. If you have weak characters, I don't know that the story can be very good, because characters propel story, right? Stories revolve around characters. And if your characters are weak, I don't know that it's like this. Would you rather have a fast car or a car that doesn't have flat tires? Well, your car can't be fast if the tires are deflated. I don't care how good your engine is. If your tires are all deflated, that car ain't going to go very quick, right? So I don't know that you can separate strong story from strong characters, because they're two sides of the same coin. They're two sides of the same coin. That being said, to counter my own argument, to give the other side to it, let me take a situation like Supernatural. I love Supernatural. I love that show. And I really fell in love with the character. I just love the characters. So even when there were some seasons that didn't have the best stories, like to me, the Leviathan story arc, that season that they were covered Leviathans. I don't think that was I think that might have been their weakest season, but whatever. I still loved watching it because I just loved these characters and I loved hanging out with them. So in one hand, I'm saying they're totally inseparable, but on the other hand, sometimes I think they are separable. I can't pick one because, like, to me, they're just so closely connected that I can't kind of separate them from each other. You know what I'm saying? It's a great question, though, Julianne. I love the question. All right. Next up, We got McCrae Johnson writes, John Campea confirms the Paramount Warner Brothers merger is a bust. Yeah, again, just to be very, very, very clear, that is just me guessing. That is just me looking at the situation and coming to some conclusions. That is not a report. That is not an official word. That is just me guessing. But you know what's funny? I don't know if it's funny or infuriating. Remember the other day I told you about the guy that I heard they were looking at for Batman? And I said, guys, nobody should report this. This is not news. I'm just shooting the shit with the people watching my show about some things I heard and whatever. I have my own personal doubts that this is ever actually happening or ever actually true. Nobody should run with this. This is not a news story. This is just us talking. I just happen to be talking to a couple people that mentioned this name. That's it. That's all. And I said, nobody should run with this as a story. And of course, everybody in the live chat said, John, these bullshit outlets are totally going to run with this as a story. And boy, you were right. Because I had at least 15 people sent me like 15 different outlets that said, you know, a YouTuber, John Campea, reports that Warner Brothers is talking to this guy for the role. And it's like, that is so not true. That is so not true, but it's what they did anyway. And you know what? I know you're joking around, McCrae, but I have very little doubt that at some point somebody's going to write that, confirmed Paramount Warner Brothers merger is going to fall apart, because I just gave some half-assed opinion on it. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. You're probably not wrong. All right. Last one today. Oscar Herrera just sends in a super chat badge to be supportive. Thank you, Oscar. I appreciate that very much, my friend. And all right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for being here, making our little humble show a part of your day. Appreciate you spending some time with this frickin' nobody from Canada hanging out in a converted garage. I appreciate it so much. It's been so much fun watching you guys chat in the live chat. Thank you for being a part of the show. Big thanks, of course, to Robert Meyer Burnett and, of course, Jonathan Voico. And a big special thank you to you guys who sent in all those questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported the channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. All right, guys, I will probably have a little video coming a little bit later tonight. I might either do an open mic tonight or maybe another fireside chat. I've got an interesting topic to talk about in fireside chat, so maybe I'll do that. And then, of course, come back for tomorrow's show. We're going to have both Robert Meyer Burnett and the wonderful Sean Chandler are going to be on the show with us tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to that. And then, of course, tomorrow night, my out-of-theater review and my out-of-theater reaction to Spider-Man Brand New Day, which I'm very excited to see and give you guys my thoughts on. All right, guys. That will do it for me. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, my film-loving brethren, bye-bye.